All right, hey guys, welcome back. We took a couple week hiatus, refreshed, renewed, back and back, prepared for our unscripted podcast. I just sprung it on these guys 2 minutes ago what we're going to talk about. But a little bit of background. Every month we have a book, and Robert Hamilton Owens inspired the name of it. It's called The Mental Gym. Robert said at one point, "Hey, we all go to our physical gyms to work our bodies. We need a mental gym to work our minds." And so, for the calendar year 2026, we have quarterly themes. First quarter is architect, second quarter is warrior, third quarter is navigator, fourth quarter is commander. And then we have a book in each month under that quarter. And last month was essentialism. And it's an awesome book. And it's like I knew what that book was about, but until I read it, it went next level for me as far as like just it's more than just the 80-20 rule, or it's more than just saying no. There's so much more to it. But that was the last one of the architect series. This month is warrior quarter, and so we have our live event at the end of this month, and so a bunch of guys are training for that. And the first book is one Clint recommended by Trevor Moawad. It takes what it takes. And I don't, Brock, I don't think you've read it yet, right?
No, I haven't.
And Clint, you gave me the book of the idea, but I think one of the core premises in that book is this whole idea of neutral thinking. Um, and so I won't put you on the spot, Brock, because you haven't read it. But Clint, what when you think of neutral thinking, how did you interpret it when you first read it, and how do you maybe use it, or how do you share, explain it to guys, or give us a little bit idea what you're thinking on it.
I mean, a couple thoughts. Neutral thinking is objective and focused, right? It's not too, you're not going high, you're not going low. So, like we were talking about a minute ago, super positive thinking is great, but you're also leading, it could lead to disappointment. Obviously we know the power of negative thinking that'll come up here. So just neutral thinking is usable and repeatable. It's what's the next step? What am I going to do next? What is required of me to complete this or achieve this? And that's really what I think of neutral thinking. It's to me, I just think neutral thinking, put your head down, take the next step. So if we're doing a workout or something physical, like the Crucible or a Navy SEAL, fit thing, what's next? Like I'll go all day. I'm just going to do what's required me next. What's the next step in front of me? So that's how I look at it.
Well, it's funny before I heard of this thing, I would have said if somebody said, "Hey, are you a negative, neutral, or positive thinker?" I would say, "Well, I'm positive. I'm a positive thinker." And I think there's a lot of benefits to positive thinking. And I don't think Trevor's saying don't be a positive thinker, but what he's thinking, but I think what he's saying when you're talking about high performance is positive thinking tends to be fragile. It works when everything is going well and that week you plan goes exactly as scripted. But what happens when reality smacks you in the face? This is that Mike Tyson line. Everybody's got a plan until they get hit. And
Yeah.
so it's all awesome to plan the week on a Sunday and get excited about all the stuff you're going to do. But now it's Wednesday. Some people call it hump day, and all of a sudden the plan's in the shitter. And, so that's where positive thinking doesn't get you there. Negative, so positive thinking is fragile, negative thinking is destructive. And let's talk a little bit about that. Before I do that, I want to share a slide here that I think really nails this thing because again, Clint, you brought this to my attention. I think this stuff is awesome. You guys see my screen?
Yep.
So let's talk about negative thinking, but when you talk negative things. So negative thinking is 4 to 7 times more powerful in a bad way than positive thinking. So that's just in your head. I suck. I'm bad at pull-ups. I can't I can't control my schedule. I eat like crap when I travel. My kids don't eat the way I want them to. Whatever those negative thoughts are.
My
But then,
biceps will never look like Clint Murray's.
yeah, exactly. Um, so that's thinking it. But when you say it out loud, and we see this regularly, you just made it 10 times more powerful than just thinking it. So, some examples I've heard guys say, I'm not good at pull-ups, or I suck at pull-ups, or I suck at whatever. It's like you just made it that much more powerful and more challenging. And so when you think about saying it out loud, it increases the likelihood of that outcome by 40 to 70 times. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So,
Jeez.
I mean, we talk about the power of language and limiting beliefs and then, thoughts, words, actions. So if this is true, imagine the actions or probably inactions that flow when you're saying this negative stuff out loud. I mean, are you going to hit your macros for the week if you're saying how hard it is to hit your calorie target or your protein goal, or drinking that much water is hard? I mean, it's just you've literally done made it twice as hard, three times as hard, seven times as hard. Pick a number. Um,
Yeah.
so uh,
Yeah. That slide you just had up reminded me how the same thing. I mean, that's almost defining be, do, have. If you're speaking the negative, you're not going to be what you need to be or who you need to be to do the things that we're doing. So it all ties together.
yeah,
I can't remember if I shared with you guys before, but when I came into, I started off as a life insurance salesman at Northwestern Mutual, and some guy, I don't even remember who it was, very first like training, might have been this first or second day. He goes, if you don't start yourself off with something that gets you in a positive frame of mind or something that gets you ready to go, motivation or inspirational, like you guys are going to hear no all day long because cold calling people. We're trying to, set up meetings and book. He goes, you're going to have doors slammed in your face. You'll quit in no time. He goes, you need to start off every single day with something like that. And that's like, I thankfully he had that and I took it to heart and I've done it ever since then. So it's like 20 years of starting my day with some sort of positive input, but it just like, it counteracts that piece of it for me. It just like it, because I inherently would go towards the negative piece and negative thoughts. I got that stuff that I'm wading through all the time, but like the inputs side of it, and then being able to like go through the AAA framework, what we talk about, the awareness, agency, action, and then putting that into play. Like those are things that come to mind in hearing this.
So good. And I'm thinking neutral thinking focuses on the controllables, right? What effort can I put in? What preparation? What's my response? That's what neutral thinking is. It's just focusing on the controllables. And that's kind of basically what you said, Brock. So
yeah, and I think to piggyback on that with neutral thinking, it's just, you're just assessing what happened or what's you think is going to happen. You identify the next action to take, and then you execute. So let's talk about like a guy comes in for an in-body scan. And Brock, I'm sure you've seen this because you've executed a ton of these. There's two reactions: elation or extreme disappointment. So a flat one, when a guy's been working hard, he's disappointed. It moves 2 points, he's elated, and I think Trevor Moawad would say shouldn't have either reaction.
Totally.
It's just a number, and then you look at the number, and again, this is like I call it like you got to act like Spock on Star Trek. Okay, I was at 23%. I did everything right according to me, and I'm at 23.2%. And then I just go screw it, and I pity party, self sabotage, and I go a week into a funk. Versus neutral thinking would just say, all right, 23.2 up from 23.0. That's just a fact. Let's look at my inputs, my alpha 5. Let's do some variance analysis and let's figure out what we need to change. And then we just go act on that.
Mm-hmm.
No emotion.
um,
And I think that's really what you want. That's why having a coach a lot of times, you need someone who's not to pump you up, is just to bring you back to reality and say, these are just numbers. Let's look into what caused the numbers, because a lot of stuff is really math. It's not this exotic explanation as to why you are where you are. It's much more. It always boils down to a handful of things. Almost all.
Totally.
It's not your
we-
thyroid's off. It's not. It tends not to be those kind of things.
You
yeah.
know what ends up almost more than just the reaction to that is people before as they walk in the door, they're already like negative self-talking themselves. I'm just like, the neutral thinking part of this is just like, hey, this is just a date. We're seeing where we are, and then from here we get to determine where we want to go. But like what's done is done. You can't change it any more than what you already have. So let's go get a read on this, and then I can help point you in a direction of where you want to go depending on what you want to do. And Okay. And then they'll half the time they won't even look as they're doing the in-body machine. But then it gives you a place to go there. So that neutral thinking is a good piece of it, because everyone wants it to only be positive, but like, well, it's not always the case.
Yeah, and hey, we've all been there. I mean, you go in feeling like you did all the work, you have an expectation, and it doesn't give you the number you want. Yeah, it's like it is disappointing. But I think when you're aware of this now, you can go, well, let's limit that disappointment to about like 1 minute. Okay, you get a 1 minute pity party, and then let's snap out of it and let's just go look at what we need to do. I mean, let's
Hmm.
use the wall sit for an example. So, and this goes into what you're talking about, Brock. Like, how do you come in? What's your mindset coming into this? One, this is one I think where you do want to have somewhat of a positive mindset. Positive meaning set a target. So if I've been doing 2 minute wall sits and I'm stuck, um, without changing anything, just tell yourself today I'm going to hang on. I'm going to go for 3 minutes. That's my target, and then just execute. Do what you're going to do, and see what happens. Just yeah, and then whenever whatever comes up, it's just a number, and then you get to decide. Am I going to do something about this moving forward? Am I going to start training for them? Am I going to do all the things we've shared with guys? But I think a lot of guys get stuck in this like, well, I'm just not a wall sit guy. Like, well, there's another limiting belief. You just labeled it, put on. That's not neutral thinking.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Positive would be, I'm a world class wall sit guy. Well, like, that's not true either, but
Yeah.
that's better than negative thinking. But the neutral thinking might be, I'm a 6 minute wall sit guy in the making, which is
Yeah.
which is true. It's like you are. We that's for anybody who's never done one of these. We always say every guy in our group over 50 is capable of a 6 minute wall sit. You just got to decide that that's going to happen.
Mhm.
Pull-ups are a little different. I mean, I think every guy's capable of 6 pull-ups too if they want. Probably a longer time horizon. The wall sit tends to be just as much mindset, maybe more than it is leg strength.
The,
Totally.
the timed events, the timed are all more mindset for sure.
Hmm.
Those
So
isometric thing, like a plank,
yeah,
very similar.
yeah, yeah.
So
I have a thought. So one guy I really like is DJ Shipley, and he talks about being a pro. He's the ex-Navy SEAL. We've talked about him a lot, and he talks about, and I'm equating this to neutral thinking. Is he talks about, positive thinking would be a switch on, or negative thinking would be a switch off. So you think of a light switch on and off. A pro uses dials. Neutral thinking is just dialing it in or dialing it back. You get on the in body and it's not where you want. Okay, I've got to dial a couple things.
Hmm.
Nothing too far, nothing too backwards, just dial it in. And that's neutral thinking.
yeah,
I love that, Clint. And what you just got me thinking of is just the James Clear quote that I've said 100 times is, you don't rise to the level of your goals. That's the positive thinking piece of this, right? Just because you say it doesn't put you there. You fall to the level of your systems, and systems are very neutral, right? In a sense, like if you want to, dial that up, and DJ Shipley's talking about, like, what are you going to change? Okay, we got our in-body scan here. We have our system that you guys have already been doing, most likely. How do we change that? How do we dial that piece up?
Right.
Unemotionally, like, and they put it within reason, so you don't have to work yourself up to a special place just to go do that, to push through, but just like have that neutral line of thinking, this is what I'm going to do on Tuesdays and Thursdays or Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Yeah, be a pro, do the work, right? Be a pro, just do it. So,
so I think in the book too, I don't know if I can't remember if Trevor phrases this as the antidote, but it's the one question. So what's the next action? So you
mhm.
step on, you get that in-body scan. It's not what you want. That's just data. You can't change that data, but you can change your next action. And I think that to me brings you power. It's like, okay, what's next? What's the next thing? Like for me, I mean, personal experience. I had, let's see, was it last month or the month before? I hit a new recent high in body fat percent. Still had a really good in-body score, but I wasn't tracking. And, it's like, again, I know this stuff inside and out. And it's like, I was just resisting tracking. I don't need to track. I know macros. And so I said, screw it. I got to track. And so, no shocker, last 4 weeks, basically all of March, lost 4 pounds of fat, added, I think, not a lot, 2/10 of muscle mass. and body fat percent dropped 2 points. In body scan or in body score went up, and it's like, why? I weighed and I measured everything. And so it's so, and I would have sat if I was, being doing the pity party and you guys were drilling me. I would
Mhm.
have resisted. Maybe I did too. I don't even know. It's like because you guys are good at troubleshooting and finding the holes. So back to my point about a variance analysis, there's always an answer. There's always, like Clint said, there's always a dial to turn. And we were talking in school yesterday. One of our members is not tracking. It's like, well, even if you think you're eating clean food and you have the occasional cocktail, if you're not weighing and measuring, that's not pro level. You're going to hit a wall, and you're probably going to stay there till you make a change. So what's your next move? What's your next? No emotion.
The thing I always like to say about that, and you've heard it 100 times, is 80% effort does not get 80% results. You're not
Mhm.
going to get better with 80%. You might be status quo, but you've got to be a pro. You got to go all in. So,
Yeah. Hey, what when we talk back to language patterns, I jotted down a couple that we hear regularly, and you guys can add to the list. Um, I can't hit my nutrition on the weekends. I always fall off after 2 good weeks. I'm too old for that. This week is already shot. Or one of my favorites. This week is going to be challenging. I call that the noble sort of staging. It's like challenging is a great way to basically say out loud like I'm not going to follow my standards this week. It's like
yeah,
it's going to be challenging. Uh,
yeah.
what are some things you guys hear commonly that are just like along those kind of lines? These what men say that's just killing the results just from their mouth.
I mean, those are all good examples. Nothing's coming to mind, but I
I'm
will just personal story, over the last 3 or 4 years, however long it's been, my language has been, and you guys have pointed it out, and it's been pointed out to me, and I've made a conscious effort um, to change my language from that because a lot of people have a negative bent and that's just the way they go and some people are motivated by it, but after the first slide that that was up and we started discovering this stuff, I've put in an effort, but it takes continuous effort to keep that language up too. So just my personal input, but we've heard them all, and once you start thinking about it, it's glaring when you read a post or somebody says something. It hits you like a in the face, like, oh, that needs to be changed or corrected. So,
Mm,
too old to add muscle.
hmm.
This is the way I've always done it.
yeah.
This is just my genetics.
I'm
I
too
mean,
tall to do pull-ups.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
how far I got to squat down as a 6'3" person? Yeah, well,
Okay, just
what else you gonna do?
then we just go back to one of our favorites, Jocko, right? Good. Full benefit.
Hmm.
isn't that funny? You're right, Brock. If you're a short guy, you're gonna say like, "Well, wall balls aren't fair because I got to hit that 10 foot marker." And then if you're a 6'3" guy, 6'5" guy, well, pull ups are harder because I got a lot more distance to move.
Yeah.
Like this stuff's all largely pretty relative. Um, yeah, a 5'6" guy does have to go a little further than the 6'6" guy, 1 foot to be exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so it's like, so is that your reason then? Why is that what's holding you back then? That's why you're going to limit yourself. I mean, it's just what does your height matter?
I mean,
This is
unless you're going for a certain time or it's in a competition, like, does it really matter? It is all relative. So if you're doing reps or trying to build strength, it is completely relative.
yeah, and you can't control your height, but you can control your effort. You can control your neutral thinking. Like you just wash,
Attitude.
wash that out of there. And yeah, so it's funny. I was breaking down this, the comment. I always miss nutrition on Saturdays or weekends. So the word always right away, you've just sentenced yourself into every Saturday, not just one, and that now becomes part of your identity. And it just that language pattern right away solidifies things. And then you're predicting next Saturday hasn't even happened, and you're already putting data, manufactured data, into that slot before it's even happened. And you never even solved the standard part of this thing. So what is the minimum? What is your C standard? how might we figure out how you can um, make Saturdays just like every other day for your nutrition. So it's funny. I think for guys, when you look at your language patterns, start paying attention to the words you say. Um, and it came up. It came up. It come up a lot in our meetings. Um, like one I hope to get better at that this week. That's another common one. Again, it kind of sounds noble. I hope, and I want to get better, but it's really non-committal, and it gives this nice off ramp. Men love to have off ramps off the highway. Just some sort of way to just not really stay committed and allow the life happens part. So
So many of those language patterns, like we've talked about it so many times in the episodes in the past of just the power of the reframe too. Like I always miss on the weekends my nutrition. How about I never miss? I never miss because I find structure in my weekends, even though it's different than my weekdays. Or a lot of times the clients that I work with, it's like that's the excuse. It's just like I lack structure. I don't have structure on the weekends. Okay, well, I don't miss because I now have structure. Here's what I'm hitting. Here's my base level standards, my C level standards, like you said, Jag. Like those are like the just tweaking a word or two and then putting reason behind it. Actually, even in the neutral thinking sense, it's fairly easy to do. But I think a lot of just like we talk about all the time, like it's that all or nothing. It has to be just like this massive action. Otherwise, they won't do it at all. So if you're struggling to find consistency in those days or you never hit on the weekends, why not, instead of shooting for an A effort, let's start with a C, and then build it up from there as we build consistency.
well, tying into that, I like to ask a question like on the Saturday one. Well, what's the least you could do?
Totally.
And you get someone to start talking. Well, I guess I could start off with a really good breakfast that's healthy that kind of powers me through the day, or maybe I could have mix in a mocktail with those cocktails every other one, or maybe I could skip a meal, fast and then reward
Yeah.
myself with dinner. I mean, there's so many ways, but when you ask a guy what's the least, now he gets out of defending why he can't do something, and now he's got to position what he can do.
And there's a difference between, and this I'll go into a little public service announcement too that I don't think our members can hear enough, or anybody that listens to this, because we see it mostly, most of the, the big communication is on our Sunday morning post. And there should be no negative. First of all, we talked about this earlier. You should not be scoring under a 35 if you're truly planning, right? So even if something comes up, because you've got A, B, and C and all the other things. But just any negative talk, and negative talk is almost, it's like a confessional, right? Nobody wants to hear that you didn't sleep Saturday night, that whatever, you didn't feel good, so you didn't sleep well. Or nobody wants to hear that, you had a beer because all your friends were there. No, that's just negative thinking. Yeah, I freaking smashed a beer because I wanted to, and it's baked into my plan, and I won. I crushed it. That's how I do that with a dessert. If I decide to have a dessert, I'm going to eat the whole thing, and it's in my plan, and I crushed it, and I win. And that's how it should be, right? I mean, then where do I go from there? What's my plan? It's obviously it's all planned out. But anyway, that's more neutral thinking baked in with the positive, the language. So.
Yeah,
I
it's
never would envision you being a sipper of beer, Clint. I think it's just crushing them. That's how I picture you.
Right, keg stand or nothing. So, it's all big. So, uh,
it's funny. This whole thing intersects really well with Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset because I think um, my guess is anybody listening to this is somewhere they've got some level of a growth mindset. But if there is somebody who doesn't, they've got a fixed mindset. They're probably thinking, well, it's different for me. I've had this shoulder injury. I'm tall. The Jagozinskis have never been good at pull-ups. We're just genetically predisposed to not being. I've heard all these. I'm sure you guys have too. And so, but what the growth mindset says is, you believe you're capable of learning new things, and so catch yourself on that. Like, if you find yourself saying you're the exception, listen, Cupcake, you're not special. I'm not special. Clint's not special. Bro. We're just guys, right? And so, whatever you're talking about, start applying neutral thinking. Start believing you're capable of doing something like just one little thing. Again, what's the least you can do? And you're gonna find like a guy who's not good at pull-ups. Well, can you strap a band around a bar and around your foot and do an assisted one? Can't do that. How about a ring row? Can you do a ring row? Can't do a ring. Can you stand up almost vertical and do a ring row so you don't have gravity? Start there then. So there is some level you can do. I mean, we this is the thing, we can find a way for you guy for any guy to get some points on the board in regard to it. And then it's just consistency and playing the long game.
Mhm.
And so
You guys have called me out on two language patterns that I'm sure it's more than two, but one of them was I can't slow down. Jag, I remember you saying like, do you realize how many times I heard you say that? Like you can't slow down. Do you think you're going to be able to slow down if you say keep telling yourself that you can't? Okay, well, what needs to be true in order to slow down? You need to build in cushion, which you also told me I need margin. Yeah, those are really annoying things, especially with because my other limiting belief is I'm always so busy, and it's just like, well, those right there give you some actionable things to focus on. And I mean, I got a lot of things going on in my life, but have been able to build in a little cushion, some margin, stress gone down, sleep gone down, or sleep gone up, and as far as recovery scores and all that, but it's been from addressing those things.
yeah, yeah, it's um we all have them though. That's the thing. That's why you need other men around you to call BS on you or point things out. I mean, like again, we've all called each other out or called each other up on things. I mean, you need that. If you're the lone wolf, all you hear is that voice in your head. And gosh, I don't know about you guys, but more than half the time, the voice in my head isn't necessarily saying, "Good job, Scott." It's some other kind of voice.
How
Um, but
about to go? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but don't put it into words, and then and hang around guys who will bust your chops in a good way. It's a great way to get better.
The biggest thing,
Totally.
growth mindset and being pro is being coachable, right? None of us are there. We all need it. You have to be coachable and you have to ask for it because everybody won't always give it. And usually it hurts and it when it hurts, that means you need it more, you know? So
Spot on, Clint. That's what I was gonna say. Is like, it can. Are you in a place mentally where you could have someone diagnose a limiting belief on you, and how would you react? Like those are some like to dig deeper. Like, do you want to get better? Can you improve, or are you just so predisposed to like you got it all figured out?
Yeah, it's hey, I got to read a quote. Uh, John Brill, I got to give him a shout out because he posted something great today. And John's one of our favorite guys. He's just that guy works his butt off.
legend. Yeah.
He's he's an up and to the right guy. He's zigzag like all of us, but he's on track. But he wrote, I'm just going to read it out loud. I'm listening to this month's book, It Takes What It Takes by Trevor Moawad. This is in quotes, I had to pull the car over at the nearest parking lot moment just now. The chapter was on choice. Trevor's quote is, bad choices are the lifeblood of average.
Mm.
And then he says, I am not an Argent Alpha member to be average. I'm pausing before I choose. Is this a good or a bad choice? If bad, do I want to gravitate toward average? Choices lead to behaviors which ultimately determine our outcomes and who we become. So anyway, and then he closed out, I am inspired today and will carry this with me to the live event. Let's go. And I thought, like, I love when guys pull those lines up because um, I don't know if I remember reading that line or not because you need to read books so many times like to get the full message. But
Yeah.
I love that. Like, I mean, who wants to be average? It's like, and so
That's so good.
yeah,
Brill the
your choice,
brill the throw.
I'm
will
I,
throw, yeah,
I'm going back to some conversations we had earlier, but everybody likes the idea of it, right? People like the idea of it, of Argent Alpha and the all the metrics. And it's a great idea, but are you going to be a pro and you know get neutral to do the work?
yeah,
So
yeah. Get neutral and choose your role, man. Choose the hero.
yeah.
Victims and villains are coming up with all the reasons why nutrition's hard on Saturdays and why I'm not good at pull-ups.
And the
Why
best way to be a hero is also so you can be on the hero's journey is be a guide. Be a fifth grader to a second grader always. And I see people doing it on school all the time, but just be a guide as well. That'll get you there. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many good guys just providing encouragement, support, and also kind of, like a little bit of a cup check moment. Some guys need a cup check sometimes. It's
yeah.
like, hey, stop. Get out
Yeah.
of that. It's like you see it sometimes comes up on Zoom meetings. But I love and guys need to hear this, and I think this is right out of the book. Trevor Moawad says, "Stop saying stupid shit."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like stop saying stupid shit. Um, so yeah. Well, that's all I got for notes. Again, don't have a script because Brock and I don't even know if you'd heard of the book till today, but it turns out you know a lot about neutral thinking.
Well, I hang around with you guys.
Um, What before we go, it's April. We're in the Warrior quarter. Warrior's all about execution. Um, we still plan, we still navigate, we make course corrections. We're still the CEO of our health, but really this quarter is about just stop thinking, start doing, stop feeling, start doing, act. What's the next step? And it applies more than just health stuff. I mean, look in your business life. What are those projects you should just stop and not do anymore? What are those relationships that you keep putting time into that maybe you just need to sever them, or maybe you need to look in the mirror? I mean, I know sometimes it's not the other person, it's you. But I think the part of being a warrior is just, it's like taking massive action. That's I think why we all gravitate towards Jocko. Jocko was like the ultimate warrior, extreme ownership, take action, own the results, own the outcome. And man, that's talk about freedom. I mean, his whole thing, discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
Discipline comes from owning everything, and they're all so intertwined. But that's why I love the books we're all reading. They all connect so well, and they tie into the themes. And anyway, I think that's just it's a good way to end this one with just take extreme ownership, stop feeling, start acting, and
You
get
you
out of your head.
put something in my mind with that, Scott, on neutral thinking and a warrior and Jocko. Like they could hear something very positive about themselves and they could hear something very, critical or negative about themselves. And like I think of how you react. Can your actions and your intentions, you could be neutral thinking, but what happens if someone, says one or the other? Are you still neutral in that and how you move forward? Is it still part of your plan, or do you get so hot and bothered or emotional because someone said something you couldn't handle? Those are something to think about and diagnose. And
Yeah, we're all humans. There's always somebody we want to punch, but you want to kind of limit that feeling. Let it pass through you. This is where I think meditation can help. Like when they talk about just like you just slide it, move it on. If you can slow down time a little bit, not take the bait. I always think of those as like people putting bait out for you. Uh,
Mm.
and I think I used to be a professional bait taker.
Oh.
I feel like I take it a lot less. Not perfect. Um, and there's plenty of opportunities to take the bait. And I mean, we were talking earlier. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, hey, let's close off with what if you haven't done your workout, what's it going to be? Or if you did your workout, what is it, Clint?
Yeah, I already did it. Full 5x5, full body, strong lifts workout this morning, and something new I started since I got a heart rate monitor last week. I did 5 minutes of zone five, so 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 5 times.
Nice.
So yeah,
Are you using the polar heart rate monitor app?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I got
Oh
the
yeah,
app.
yeah. I saw your post. Yeah. Yeah. You cracked 180, I think, didn't you?
That was on a ruck. Yeah, I couldn't crack 180
180.
on me. I was 182, and then Judge one up to me with 183, or he outdid me, of course. But yeah, I got to like 163 this morning, I think, on the dyno bike. So just
Wow.
testing it. Yeah.
Rock, how about
Right.
you?
Yeah, I already worked out 4 rounds. We did some tempo split squats, goblet split squats, 8 perfect pull-ups, 8 single leg deadlifts per side, 10 gorilla rows per side, and a minute jump rope.
Hey,
Four
tell
rounds.
Nice.
the perfect rep. Tell us a little bit about a perfect rep versus a vanity rep while we got you.
Well, this went in because we were doing. There's some people doing some not perfect reps, and so we had to just make sure that, like for a pull up, for example, you want your arms all the way extended at the bottom, right? And so people a lot of times they'll get the chin over, and then they'll come to about right here, and then they'll get the chin over again. But like that's not perfect. We need to get all the way here, and we got to get our chin all the way over. Or if we're doing a push up, chest hits the floor, and we're not only coming up to here. We got to get those arms all the way extended. And so that's a lot of what I've put in is just like instead of a set amount of reps or weight, it's like whatever you could do, but make them perfect all the way throughout. And when your form starts to waver or you can't get all the way over the bar or push all the way up or chest to the ground on a push up, like you're just done. And it's a good way to one, not push past your limit and have crappy form, but also work on full range of motion because it's also where people get injured too.
Yeah, plus I think what you've coached me on is the more you focus on perfect form, you tend to slow down, so you have higher quality time under tension too.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you could do 15 pull-ups, but you can only do 8 perfect ones and they're slower, you might feel more spent on those 8 perfect pull-ups than 15 imperfect ones.
And then the thing about it too is like crappy form on a pull up does not transfer into anything else. Good, perfect form on a pull up transfers into just about everything else. And so like if you're trying to build those repeatable movement patterns, like they repeat across a push up, but deadlift, there's so many things that you could stack together. So
Yeah. Well, we started this Armenia at 8 a.m. my time, so I don't have my workout in, but I have a 2 mile ruck in, and I threw in a 4 minute wall sit for good measure while I was doing emails. And it's
Nice.
you want a wall sit to go faster, just get your mind on something else. I mean, literally, I was looking at it going, okay, wait, because we have this April challenge, and if you do 4 minutes and 30 seconds, you logged 4 minutes. So it's like I don't want to do a 4 minute 30 wall, so I'm gonna do a 4 minute one, or else I got five. So I looked up an email and I was like at 3:55. I go, yes, 5 more seconds. So, but later today, I think I'm gonna do. I got to do my 5x5 trap bar deadlift. I was gonna do it yesterday, but I had a good readiness score, but I just was not feeling it. I said I'm just gonna listen to my body. It's like, when you have that, like you go, I'm just not feeling like going heavy today. So I did 40 minutes of zone 2 cardio yesterday. Today is I'm feeling it. Trap bar deadlift.
Yeah. Hey, Jag, I noticed you've been bringing back the wall sit a lot more lately. You posted a 6 minute the other day. Inspired me. Like I'm not I'm not back up to that level yet. So it's going to take me a minute, but I'm inspired. And to that point, I feel like bring back the classic is like should be a thing. Just the classic five testing. What started it all is the best.
Yeah, it's funny. Like you and I are talking about this, kind of like we get a little scared thinking about doing it, because it's like,
Yeah, you do.
you
Like it
know,
it hurts. So
especially like when we do it at Brock's gym and you get 5 minutes rest between movements, and you go, I'm doing one movement, one max effort. How can I be so gassed by the end
burn.
of it?
Yeah.
But 6 movements, ending with max burpees in a minute, you're gonna feel it. But yeah,
That's the gold standard. Yeah, it is. It really is. So
yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks. This is great. We'll see you next week, and have an awesome week. Go get your
if
30.
I was
see you guys.
See you guys.